Good morning, everyone. All right, good morning, everyone. I say this every single time. I actually hate to break up people talking because, as I said, every single time, I think more is getting done at these tables for our community than listening to me talk. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for coming and just being here together. I think it's special. I want to thank the elected officials that are attending. We have Governor Tony Evers. We have from the office of Senator Ron Johnson, Ginger Kolsmenberger. You guys know this is a long list, right? From the office of Congressman Fitzgerald, Shannon Ho. From the office of Senator Baldwin, Rebecca Barada. Representative Scott Allen. County Executive Paul Farrow. We have Waukesha County Supervisors Paul Decker and Dwayne Paulson. Waukesha County Sheriff Eric Severson. The Common Council members Don Paul Brown, Dean Lemke, Rick Lemke, Elizabeth Molson, Joe Piper, and Cassie Rodriguez. Our City Attorney, Brian Running. And also Mayor of Brookfield, Steve Ponto, right here. And how about a round of applause for our police and fire, which are already here. They hate that, but they deserve it. So I also want to thank, as you all know, we've been celebrating our 125th anniversary as a city this entire year. We've had over 25 events. This is one of them, and I want to thank our sponsors for that. I'm not going to go through all of them, but many of them are here today. We do have our 125th anniversary year-end review tonight, where we seal our time capsule and celebrate the end of our 125th anniversary. So that's tonight if you want to attend it at our Common Council meeting. It begins at 5:30. I want to thank Tuscan Hall, who always put on a great breakfast, and specifically Amy Bartloff. And I also want to thank Helping Hands Senior Group from the Park Recreation and Forestry Department for the centerpieces, as well as Snapdragon Flowers for some of the other centerpieces too. I want to thank Waterstone Bank for, at your table, you will see you have ornaments of our 125th, and those are going on my tree when I get it. I got to think about how I'm going to get that. But Waterstone Bank has provided the funding for the 125th anniversary ornaments. And I want to thank you all for your donations for the food pantry and the United for Waukesha Community Fund. So with that, it's now, I'm going to take a moment of your time and kind of provide my piece. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be saying. I did jot down some notes. I'm always worried about getting caught in, if I don't have my speech fully written out, I'm worried about getting caught in a box canyon, like a Louis L'Amour novel, just by not being able to get out of what I'm saying. But today, and this morning, for me, we're kind of at a reflection point. I'm conflicted because we experienced a great loss. I'm conflicted because we're grieving, and we're grieving for the families who lost a loved one. For the injured, and some of the people that are injured will carry those injuries for the rest of their lives. For those who were traumatized, and there are many, many people that were traumatized during our Christmas parade. And also for the loss of our innocence as a community. Our parade is, I can tell you, I love a parade. It was part of my innocence, and we lost some of that. But, celebrating as a community in our parades and our events will probably never be the same because that will be in the back of our minds. But as a community, we also came together and we celebrated as a community. We celebrate, this morning what we're doing is celebrating our unity, our generosity, our spirit. And when I talk about our spirit, the first thing that comes to my mind is the grannies walking again in the Franklin Parade. That was special. We have to permit ourselves to celebrate. As you may believe or know, Sean Riley, I'm Irish. The Irish are pretty good at celebrating as well as grieving. And you all know the difference between an Irish marriage and an Irish funeral. It's one less person. So today we grieve and we celebrate though. I grieve for our loss and I celebrate and feel immense pride for our shared response to our tragedy. I have pride in Waukesha, pride in every single employee who works for the city of Waukesha who all stepped up. Pride for the employees of all the businesses and our businesses in downtown Waukesha. Pride for our citizens and how they responded to this event. And the list goes on and on. So with that, I will put on my hat for celebrating our 125th, and thank you all for being here.
Sean can always pull off the hat. He always does.
Always wanted one, too.
Usually when I get up and do this part of the program, I tell you this is the boring part of the program, and I'm usually giving you an update about a really exciting road project or even more exciting sewer project. But I'm not going to do that today. Over the past year, as Sean said, we celebrated our 125th anniversary. And I have to be honest with you, when the staff first came to me, a little over a year and a half ago, and they're like, it's our 125th anniversary, and like, we've got to do something big about that. And I was kind of like, whoopee. It was like 125 years, yeah, I guess that's okay, And we started putting together the events, and about mid-year, I would meet with the team, and I'd be like, this is amazing. Every time we had an event, like people would come out and celebrate and be together and just celebrate being a community. And that started with neighborhood beer gardens and Friday Night Live and Oktoberfest. And we had a great celebration at the 125th anniversary gala this year. And it was really, we, in these last few weeks, we've said, let's unite with a blue light. And over the last several days, I just keep seeing those blue lights multiply and multiply. My daughter's made a game of counting them every time we drive around at night. She's getting higher and higher numbers every time we make a pass to the community. And, it wasn't that we needed to unite with the blue light. Is that we were already united. We already had an amazing sense of community here in Waukesha. And when the tragedy struck, we just did what we always do. We came together. And all of our folks reacted and came together as a community. And I just can't be any prouder of my team. The police and fire response initially, and those just everyday citizens on the ground were amazing. And folks, a lot of folks are asking, what can you do? And I'm going to steal Alderman Piper's suggestion. If you see a cop or if you see a firefighter, buy them a cup of coffee. Say thank you. Ask them how they're doing. Because they are on the front lines, and they're on the front lines for a reason. And when you talk about government, it's about the people, It's about the people that are here to respond. And they don't want recognition. They're doing it from the goodness of their hearts. And they came together and they responded. Every member of the team. Public Works, the stuff in the background that you guys don't ever see that Public Works folks are doing to help the community. Park and Rec, just folks stepping up from every part of the community coming together to support this city. When the tragedy struck, I got 3 phone calls. I was up north hunting, like many of us do. The night before, we were playing Dirty Clubs. Governor, I know that your game is euchre, but Dirty Clubs is a good game too. I got 3 phone calls. The first one was from my wife, because my youngest son, Jax, was at the parade. So that was a challenging call. The second was from my assistant, Rebecca, letting me know what was going on. And the third was from the governor's chief of staff, before I ever left Trigo, saying, what can we do to help? And that sentiment from the entire state of Wisconsin continued from that moment. So it was the governor's office, it was Senator Baldwin's office, it was Senator Johnson's office, it was County Executive Farrell's office. They were in the room with us from the beginning, helping us respond. And regardless of whatever differences we had, when tragedy struck, we came together as a community. And just an amazing response from everyone involved. And so I just want to thank every single person that came out. The mayor of Tomah stopped by on his way back from a Packer game, which if you do the geography, to drop off a check for the community fund. So just amazing response from everyone around. And so I just want to say thank you to every member of the community from the city of Waukesha, from the county of Waukesha, from the state of Wisconsin, and from across the nation for coming together and being here with us. And so it is my great honor as a representative of our great state to introduce our governor, Tony Evers.
Thank you, City Administrator Lehner. Just to let you know, I do play Dirty Clubs, and it's one of those games that when you start playing, you can actually spend all evening playing one game if you have enough players. And also thanks for the introduction, and also thank you to Mayor Riley and County Executive Farrell for their great leadership. It's really important to have strong leaders, and you're fortunate here to have that. And so I thank them also for their good work. Really grateful to join you and the opportunity to talk with you this morning. Excuse my cold, but it's that time of year. We have community and business leaders. We have friends, supporters, advocates for the city of Waukesha, embracing and celebrating the Waukesha community. I know I don't have to tell you that just 3 weeks ago, it all began. A senseless act by a dangerous individual shook this community to its core, and frankly, also to our state. I'd like to start today by acknowledging and recognizing what this community has been through, the healing, and that's ongoing, and that we've come together today during this holiday season. We will undoubtedly be thinking of those who aren't with us and the families who have one less person at their table this Christmas year. I'd also like to thank all public health workers, local leaders, small business owners, community advocates, and all the heroes who showcase what it means to live by our Wisconsin values of empathy, compassion, service, and taking care of our neighbors. The last 2 years have changed so many things about our daily lives that we've been challenged, to say the least, in more ways than we could ever have imagined. But Wisconsinites have met each of these challenges, each one of them, by supporting each other with empathy and, frankly, unmeasured resilience. And that is no truer anywhere than here in Waukesha, where the community found strength and resilience in helping each other, while so many helpers ran towards danger and toward their neighbors at a time of fear and need. We saw public health workers go above and beyond to support us when we needed them most, like the public health worker I spoke to who was on the street taking care of folks, medical assistance on the sidewalk, and then turned around and went to Children's Hospital where she worked to save lives for the rest of the 24 hours. We saw community leaders organize events for folks to come, be together, and to express their grief and sorrow. We saw small businesses, the hearts of their communities, organize, fundraise, donate thousands of hours to support various organizations, bringing on the United for Waukesha Community Fund. We saw Culver's, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Bucks, Culver's, American Family Insurance, Kohl's, find their own unique ways to help the community. We saw hundreds of unite with the blue light, as the mayor mentioned, by illuminating their homes and businesses with hundreds of blue lights in a show of strength and unity. And Kathy and I have had the opportunity to put those blue lights outside the executive residence in Madison. So if you're counting, you got to get it over to Madison also. We also saw folks provide resources to have more conversations about mental health and how to navigate the trauma and move towards healing together. I've had the honor to see faith leaders at funerals of folks this last weekend and the week before, and preaching love and unity while giving the families a chance to talk about and remember their family members. When things get tough, when our neighbors face the darkest days, when we face moments of despair, we respond. We respond by rolling up our sleeves and doing what we can to help and support each other. And over these past few weeks, Waukesha proved this. And while there's undoubtedly a long road to recovery, you've reminded so many Wisconsinites what it means to be a community, and I thank you for that. Thanks again for allowing me to be here today and to address you as you continue to heal. Please know that the state is ready to continue supporting any efforts you have been going on here, and I know that we will only grow stronger as the days grow longer and we move towards the future. So thank you so much, everybody, for your great work and your unity in your community. It's been a statewide effort, but you have certainly led us with your grace and resilience. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. And I guess that's resiliency is something that I think the community has shown. And I want to thank the governor for being here. We have, as has already been stated, we've received support throughout the entire state. I've received letters from pretty much every single mayor, village president, and town chairman from everywhere around here, and from way up north and way out west. You know, the amount of support that we're getting is just phenomenal. We do have one more speaker. It's Amy Linder. She's the president and CEO of United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Waukesha County. And she's here to tell, so that we get, so that you get, as well as you can tell other people about the United for Waukesha Community Fund. Amy's a Waukesha resident, or at least she grew up here. And Amy, come on up.
Good morning, everybody. I want to try to do 3 things today for you. I want to give you an update of what's happened so far in the fundraising in the United for Community Fund. I want to give you an update on what's happening and what's planned so far in distributions from that fund. And then I want to talk just briefly about sort of what we think going forward looks like, at least from that fund. I also will stick around at the end for any questions. I'll tell our friends over here that I will be at the City Council meeting tonight, so maybe hold your fire. You know, I really want to lead with just the same theme you've been hearing this morning, just this deep, deep gratitude to this entire community. This is the parade I grew up going to. My second call that Sunday night was to Shelley Marquardt from the Waukesha County Community Fund, who would be here but for a board meeting she had scheduled. My first call was to family. My first call was, you know, checking on whether my brother and nephew were there. You know, you saw that little girl, that video of the little girl in the pink coat. That's my cousin's daughter. Like, you know, this is my hometown, even though I don't live here now, and I'm just grieving with all of you. So, on the positive side, as you've heard again and again, as you've seen, this community and truly the globe has come together to try to be part of helping these families and help all of us heal. The fund has raised, as of totals I saw yesterday, more than $3.5 million before the Foch family match, which brings us to $4.5 million. We are not done with that fundraising. That's any question, it's an enormous number, but we also know how many people have been impacted here. So you're going to see us continue to do everything we can to fundraise the dollars that we can hold these families as financially whole as we can possibly hold them. In terms of work ongoing, you know, we're really thinking and starting the effort around getting the funds in the hands of these families. So we have been benefited greatly from the generosity of other communities who have had their own tragedies, particularly Boston, Orlando, and Thousand Oaks have been very generous in sharing with us their processes, their protocols. It was a huge accelerator for us in the first days and thinking through how do you begin to go about managing a fund like this. We have already started to get in the hands initial payments to the individuals who suffered a fatality in their family. Those families have received, some of them, everybody will receive them, some already have an initial $25,000 payment. That payment is intended for the family to spend however it is that they need to spend it. Every family is different, has their own needs, of course, and so they have full discretion to use those dollars in the way they see best. The application process will open on Friday. We would love your help in spreading the word to everybody who needs to know how to apply for those funds. It'll be on the website of the Waukesha County Community Fund. It'll be on the website at United Way. We've been really lucky in how cooperative the media has been in helping us share this news wide and far. So we're trying to make sure every single family knows how to do this. We've also been really fortunate in our victim advocate friends at the county and city in terms of making sure these families are very, very connected. So those application processes will start on Friday. The next group of priority recipients are individuals who experienced a hospitalization. And as soon as they turn in these applications, our goal will be to start getting initial checks into their hands. The next group, which we hope to start funding as soon as January, if not earlier, will be individuals who've had medical care needs who were not hospitalized. So that's how various communities have chunked it out. That's how we are hoping to do the same. We currently have set a deadline at the end of February for folks to submit an application for funding from the fund. You know, we're hoping that'll be a deadline that works for families. We very much want to be on their timeline, not our timeline. And we think February will give us a good opportunity to determine, have we done a good job meeting their financial needs at that time, or do they have additional needs that additional fundraising may or may not make sense. There are fundraisers currently scheduled going through February. There's so many people in this room who have been part of that in some way, in your own way, and we're really, really grateful for that. The last thing I'll mention in terms of a couple things to think about going forward. So we talked about what we are hoping to do in terms of assessing where we are in February. There's a lot of work between now and then, but February is a good inflection point to determine what's next. If you individually or you as your business have not yet done something for the fund or for these families and you would like to, let me plant just a couple of seeds for you guys to think about. I very much would encourage you to do financial fundraising and not collections of items. Well, I can't speak for every family. I can say we have heard overwhelmingly from the families. They are not in need of physical items right now, that if they have needs for keeping their families fed or other items like that, their own personal networks of churches, of neighbors, of friends, of family are best suited to do that for them. So when you think about the financial fundraising that they are asking us to continue doing, we encourage you to work through the fund, and we encourage you to do that for a couple of reasons, including how carefully we are thinking through how to be equitable with all the other families. But the other thing I would mention is if, giving is a very personal decision. If you decide you want to do it outside the fund, I would ask you to be very, very mindful of potential tax implications for the families. I would ask you to be very, very mindful of the ways you give and how that might impact what other funding the families might be eligible or ineligible for because of the way you give. And just, we just don't want to put anything else on the shoulders of these families. Our goal in these application processes is to have it streamlined, one application, not create additional burdens or hurdles for these families to go through who have already obviously been just through so much. Beyond these families who've had these physical injuries, I also just want to echo what you've already heard. This is something that impacted all of us. So another pot of money from this fund is helping us expand mental health treatment. That is available for this entire community, whether you attended the parade or didn't. I should have said at the top of the remarks, this fund, what we fundraised so far, has come from, within a day and a half, all 50 states, 16 different countries, and as of the last count I saw yesterday, more than 13,000 donors. That, of course, includes organizations and families like the Foch families who've given incredibly large gifts. But I also want to highlight how many gifts of $10 and $15 and $20 have come in. And when I'm thinking about those donors and when I'm thanking those donors, what I'm saying to them is not only every dollar counts, because at the end of the day it absolutely does, but it also says something about who we are. It also says something about how many people are willing to reach into their pocket and do the little bit that they can to make sure these families know how much we care and that we're going to be here for them, not just last week and next week, but in the months and years to come. So to all of you who are part of that sort of blanket of love for these families and for each other, thank you very much.
So that concludes our Celebrate Waukesha. I encourage you all to, I don't think we'll be kicked out of here very quickly. If you want to stick around and talk to each other, talk to Amy, please stick around. I know I'm going to have another cup of coffee because I only had one. But thank you all for being here. Thank you all for supporting us, and let's continue with unity. Thank you so much.